Hello teachers and students, and thank you for watching this free lesson. What you're about to see is a lesson from my Photography for Schools course. I really hope you enjoy it and more importantly learn a lot from it. Don't forget to check out the rest of the course at theschoolofphotography.com. Okay, I'm going to start you off by asking you this one question. What is photography? I want you to pause the video and write down some answers. I hope you've got lots of things written down, as it's a very open-ended question and there's lots of different answers. Common answers I get are it's an art form, it captures memories, it records history, it's a way of capturing a scene and so on. Of course, it's all of those things, but essentially photography is to capture light. Photography is a science. It was invented by scientists, not artists. You need to learn the science or craft of photography, then you can get creative with that knowledge. I can tell you now, you might get that lucky shot, but you won't be able to be consistently good or consistently creative without that full control over the science of photography. The craft of photography has been the same since its invention in the 1830s, and it will continue to be the same forever. This is because it's a science. It's the laws of physics at work. It's essentially about capturing light beams. Here is a camera obscura, and this is how it works. Light travels through the lens there, and it hits an image plane, in this case a piece of tracing paper. You zoom in and out with the two boxes and that focuses in the image, and that essentially is photography. So let's look at some really old photographs and explain how photography has pretty much stayed the same for many years. Here's the first one here. This was taken in 1908. And this one shows a really shallow depth of field, which means it's been taken with a large aperture. And then if we look at this one here, this one was taken in 1906 after the earthquake in San Francisco. Now this one shows everything sharp from the foreground to the background. And that means that it's been taken with a smaller aperture, giving us a longer depth of field. And then we have this one here, and this one was taken in 1912. Now this also shows a shallow depth of field, but the boy on the left is blurred. This is because he's moving during the exposure and the girl isn't. All of these photographs show that photography hasn't changed because depth of field is controlled by aperture, movement is controlled by your shutter speed, and those things have always been the same. Since the beginning of photography, the principle has been the same. Light travels through a lens and is captured on an image plane, and that is it. When photography was first invented, light was captured onto metal and paper. Then it was glass, then came plastic film, and now it's a digital chip. But the process of light beams travelling through a lens and being captured has been the same and will continue to be the same. And it's because of those reasons that we only use the manual settings in my courses. This is so we learn to control the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, and so on. All of these modern settings on cameras are just gimmicks. They are selling points for the manufacturer. They actually make things more confusing, I think. So we use just the manual settings. Not only does this allow us to take control, but it also allows us to understand what mistakes have been made. And like I said before, once you understand those mistakes, you can correct them very easily. That is learning. Now for your first task, I want you to make a camera obscura out of a shoebox, like this. There's a shoebox, and it's been turned into a camera obscura. You can do this as a class task, a homework task, or as an extension. Your teacher will let you know which is best. Let's make a camera. Okay, now you must do this under adult supervision. Under no circumstances do you do the cutting part, which I'm going to show you in a minute, alone, because we have to use a razor blade. I've also added instructions for you in your resource pack, and I want you to take photographs of each stage for your presentation later. Right, this is it. This is basically the finished product. It's a shoebox, and inside the shoebox is a piece of tracing paper. At the front is a lens, and at the back is a hole, and that's pretty much it. So here we go on how to make them. So this is what you need. You need some black tape. You need a pencil and a ruler. You need a craft knife, some scissors, a magnifying glass. Now these you can get from just your science department in your school. They're very cheap. They're just a cheap magnifying glass. You need some tracing paper, and you need, of course, a shoebox. And the first thing is, when you get your shoebox, if you've got any holes like this here, we're going to tape them up with some black tape. Like that. That is fine. Then you get your magnifying glass, you draw around it roughly in the center of one of the sides of your box. And I'm going to draw around the magnifying glass. So I've got a nice circle to cut out. Just like that. Let's just patch that bit up there. Now the next thing to do, and this is where you need to have adult supervision, all right? I don't want anyone cutting themselves, so be extremely careful on this bit here. The next thing you do is you get your craft knife and you cut this bit out, so you have a nice circle. Now always cut so you're coming away from yourself. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that's all cut out now. We've got a nice hole, and our magnifying glass will fit in it nicely like that. So the next thing you have to do is put our magnifying glass in that hole so it creates our lens. So we can tape it on the inside, or if you've got a box like this, and as you can see in this box I've got like a sort of 2 bits of cardboard, I'm going to wedge my lens, or my magnifying glass, in them 2 bits of cardboard like that. Okay, and that's quite a nice easy way to do it. If you haven't got 2 bits of cardboard on your shoebox, you just tape it. You just tape it to the back with some black tape, and that works just as well, so don't worry about it. Then you need to cut a piece of tracing paper. Here's a piece of tracing paper. Here's one that I made earlier. You need to cut it to size so that it fits nicely in your box. When you've cut it to size, then you just tape it either side so that it sticks in. I'll put a bit on that side. I'll put a bit on that side. And you want to put the tracing paper kind of 3/4 down the box towards the lens. So it doesn't have to be exact, it's just roughly, so it's closer to the lens. That's one side, and there's the other side. And try and make sure that it's quite tight as well. You don't want it to be like all loose like that. Try and make it as tight as you can get it, okay? That's fine like that. Then we're going to put the lid on. And you need to cut a viewing hole in the back. So here. I'm just going to draw a nice long rectangle in the back, just enough to look through, that's all. So again, adult supervision, because you're using a craft knife, always cut away from yourself and be extra careful. And there we go. Now I've got a nice rectangle cut out there. And that is a camera obscura. All you do now is put the lid on, get an object, and this is what I'm going to focus in on. And then you look through your camera obscura, and if you go forwards and backwards to your object, it will go in and out of focus like that. And you've just made a camera obscura. If you're finding it that it's not focusing in properly, then you might want to move your tracing paper a little bit closer to the lens or a little bit further away from the lens, because it can be different with different shoe boxes, different sizes. All right, and that's it. That's how you make a camera obscura. Now what you have to do is present your learning. In your resource pack, you have lots of different examples from students to refer to and a task sheet. Start with a title, what is photography? Then add your notes underneath, what you think it is and what I've explained in this video. Then I want you to research the camera obscura. Look into its origins, explain what one is, look for modern examples of artists that use them, and present this information in your sketchbooks. The next task is to create a how to make a camera obscura page. Think of it like you are making an instruction sheet for someone else to use. And don't forget to add your photos together with your instructions. Like I said before, refer to the example presentations I have added in your resource pack to help you. As an extra task, you can research one of the inventors of photography, Henry Fox Talbot. I'm not going to tell you much about him because I want you to find out about him and present it back to your teacher. If you choose to do this, I also want you to take some pictures and recreate the look of his images using modern apps. Again, refer to the examples I've provided for ideas. When presenting your images, explain what you've used and how it's helped you recreate that old look of the Fox Talbot pictures. And there's even an extra extension task on the sheet, but you can get onto that one if you are racing ahead. Good luck with all of that. I hope you have fun, and I'll see you in the next lesson. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. For more like this, please check out our Photography for Schools course at theschoolofphotography.com. For more free tutorials, join our wonderful learning community on social media. I hope to see you soon.